Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is I, Niko the Legend, also known as the well-mannered teenager, and how are we doing today? Yeah, that's right. We have a big Niko Show podcast episode to discuss because this is kind of like a end of the year discussion about everything that's happened so far in 2020 and how it's affected gaming. So I guess today's topic could be called 2020 and gaming or something like that. We're going to be talking all about that and how it's really affected me as a gamer. I know that sounds kind of lame to some people and really nerdy, but we'll get into it, the pandemic, it has affected us all. So you could say gaming has been more prominent than it ever has been in a very, very long time. Now, before that, just thanks to everybody who's been, listening to the Niko Show podcast, which we're on YouTube. Sometimes we stream it on, YouTube, Twitch, and then on Spotify. Now, these future episodes, I just want to apologize in advance, aren't going to be the hour length because I can't afford the monthly subscription of getting videos big enough to, as an hour. They're pretty big videos that go on a certain platform. I think it's Libsyn that I use. And going with the $15 a month I used to do, I was able to put multiple episodes per week on that platform because I had more space on that website. The space capacity was a lot higher. But seeing how I can't afford that, I have to go with the most basic plan, $5 a month, which allows me to put at most 50 megabytes for, that's pretty much it. It's really not that much at all. It's like one episode every 3 weeks on there or something like that. Including archived episodes that happens automatically. With that said, if you guys do want to help me out with that, you can always check out my PayPal. You know what? I think this will be the first time I ever mentioned my PayPal. But if you want to help Niko out to get more episodes out on Spotify and all that jazz. I mean, you're going to see these on YouTube for free, but, if anybody wants to go the extra mile, that's always appreciated. But I'm just happy that you guys have even found this or heard my voice for the very first time, which you might not appreciate, but you could get used to it. Who knows, right? So just a round of applause for everybody who's been there for a while. Okay, with that said, I hope you guys are patient with me for the most part because it's been a tough year, and this is, I might as well just segue into what's been happening with me in gaming in 2020. Now, I know we're all really, 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 really tired of hearing this times a million, really, 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 okay? About the pandemic, okay? Whatever you believe on it, I'm not here to judge or, spew my nonsense and just nonsensical bullshit. I'm just going to let you know how it's been affecting me. I'm going to try not to go into my belief system on this because that's not what I want to do. I just want, as I mentioned, to let you know how it's been affecting me and kind of go into how it's affecting other gamers that I try to play with or people I hang out with to play gaming with in general. This is mainly a gaming podcast. I know I have discussed other things that haven't been gaming, but they've been nerdy, like my book, for example, and then I remember we had a Star Wars discussion. But, it just depends on how the mood fits. Honestly, I didn't know what to talk about because I have a future collaboration I'm going to be doing with St. Wolven that's talking all about Cyberpunk, and I'm going to wait with her to do that. And I think I had another idea for just me, but yeah, it didn't hit home. But this popped in because of just where we are in life. We're at the end of 2020, the new year's upon us. In 2021, we pray to the makers that maybe it'll be a little better, a little less annoying, who knows, right? We shall never know how the future is played out for us. The only thing we can do is stay in the now and just do what we do best, is survive. Anyway, enough of that. Now, for those of you who are just coming in or even old and new, usually I do the personal business of what's going on with Niko for an introduction and what games I'm playing. I can't really do that because of the time that is against me, considering, I can't, afford doing longer episodes. And yeah, it's kind of sad, but that's just how it goes. Which, like I said, we're going to segue into why that is such a thing. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I'm going to do my best to explain how this has been affecting me as a gamer. Okay, just strictly gaming, but everything else that's attached to it is just provides more context and more impact of what I'm trying to explain. And if this is a lot of subjectivity, subjectiveness, that's kind of how it's been this entire year. There's been emotions flaring up the wazoo. It's just it's just been crazy. It's just been nuts. And all you may not, if when you think about it long enough and hard, it's been crazy in a nutshell for sure. Now, back when the pandemic hit, everything went to shit for the most part. We were looking for toilet paper. Movies and games were getting delayed. Everybody had to stay inside for the most part. We couldn't really do anything. We couldn't really go out and have fun with our friends in terms of gaming or just the social aspect of it. And a lot of us, for the social aspect, you may go out with your homies to go, maybe go to their house to have a beer or two and play video games with them, or just go out in general, like, I don't know, to work out or do your job. If any one of you is a working person, to make a daily wage, or not daily, well, I mean, maybe, an hourly wage, everybody struggled in their own way. But, for gamers and stuff, we had to, there was some good and bad. Okay, so I did mention before that gaming has never been more prominent and more popular due to the pandemic. And in 2020, it has shown amazingly, and it's really astounding on how. I'm not gonna try to go into like, oh, we've gone together, we're strong as a community, we're better together. Like, I'm not gonna talk about that shit because that's almost on the line of virtue signaling, and it's just annoying. No one wants to hear that crap. But truth be told, gaming is just, it just really, really did its job. It accomplished so much. Just gaming in general has accomplished so much for people who have always been gaming. Maybe you've always just been staying home, and gaming is just like, yeah, you have more of an excuse now to play games without anybody bitching at you or something. Your mom telling you to go outside and get some fresh air. Now she can't do that, right? Well, hopefully you're getting some fresh air, whether it be the air outside or or just figuratively, keep your head above the surface, because we've been drowning quite a bit in terms of just social interaction in the physical sense. But digitally, gamers have been doing very well. Now with me, as I was saying before, like I said, I'm going to do my best to explain this. So forgive me if I sound like a belligerent lunatic when I talk about this stuff. Right, Anakin?
Liar! Stop right there!
Even the gods, the Imperial gods are after me. No, for real. When this pandemic hit, I was working at the hospital at the time. I had two jobs, okay? I was working at the hospital part-time. Well, it was like part-time, full-time. It was like 30 hours a week, 3 10-hour shifts, okay? And then the other job I had was personal training, and that was the most part-time. That was like my side hustle, if you will. And, everything was going okay. I was able to do my job, do my jobs effectively, and, do all my other hobbies, like work on my book, play games, work out, yada, yada, yada. Everything was fine. Life was good until the pandemic hit. So, it was really weird because as soon as, I remember a week before all the shutdowns happened, I remember at the hospital, I'll never forget it, right? You never forget these interactions or confrontations. My boss called me into her office, and she straight up just let me go, or fired me, because I didn't meet performance expectations. It was one of those big-time corporate jobs, especially being in a hospital, when you're off by 1% on performance evaluations, that's how big the margin was, apparently. They let you go. Yeah, it was a shitty feeling. Doesn't matter how good of a worker you are with like your team, how good of a leader you are. If you're not a by the numbers type of person at these jobs, then they'll let you go in a heartbeat. Customer service, it doesn't fucking matter to them. It doesn't. No. It's all about the numbers. But without getting too far into that, you get what I'm trying to say. So it's kind of a shitty start. And lo and behold, the pandemic hits a week later. And I'm really struggling to find a job because personal training, I couldn't do anything. So what did, as I did what everybody else did, I filed for unemployment. I, got the stimulus check. Luckily, I was clear for unemployment. I got unemployment stuff. So I was just hanging out in my place. And you want to guess what I was doing besides writing? Was playing video games. That and also doing home workouts, which drove me fucking crazy because I hate working out at home. I never like to work out at home, because this is home. This is the comfort. I don't want to sweat and die in my own house. That's just how complacent I've gotten when it comes to going to a gym and stuff. When I have to have an excuse sometimes to go out and exercise. I feel more motivated, or else it's just a waste of my time and gas and money, pretty much. But video games were just more prevalent than ever. I was, there was two big games that were coming out. Like, when did it start, guys? I can't remember. At the end of February or the beginning of March? It's really hard for me to remember. If anybody's listening to this on YouTube, comment down below and let me know. But there was two big games coming out that I was really excited for, and it kind of gave me a great excuse to even stay home even more because of the pandemic. But it was Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons. Those were two big games that came out that year, that were coming out. And as the next person, I was ecstatic. I was super fucking stoked for this two games to come out. And boy, was Animal Crossing the fucking savior of the pandemic. I am not kidding. I mean, to this day, it still is. But Animal Crossing had, oh my god, let's just say it helped make the Nintendo Switch the most popular selling console of this year. It was absolutely insane how well it did in the sales, because it was that game that really made people, take them away from their shitty pandemic situation of losing their job or trying to just get money or save money, or they can't go anywhere, or maybe they're sick, from the pandemic. It just, so many reasons, right? And with me, it was a good time for that game to come out, And, in between from when I got let go from the job when that was coming out, I really couldn't do too much. None of us could do too much. What was, we were hearing all this bureaucratic bullshit happening on TV or the internet. Everybody's fucking freaking out, yada yada, making memes. The memes were pretty funny, though. The memes will never die. I think the memes are the last hope of the internet, and I really appreciate it because everybody else is just spewing fucking nonsense, some virtue signaling bullshit that no one, I don't ever want to fucking hear about that shit, But all I could say in my defense, I had to go with my best judgment on all this, and I think I did a pretty decent job. Okay, I've been one of the lucky ones that has not gotten sick, from what I know so far. So knock on wood, right, Anakin?
Liar!
What about you, Slippy?
Fox, get this guy off me!
Ah, yeah, tough crowd these days. So that's, in a nutshell, throughout the summer, I've never played so many games in my life. Like, it has been crazy. Or spent time in playing video games. So, Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing were there to kind of guide the way a little bit. For, like I said, for a large number of us. For those of you who have the Switch, but if you have PC, you want to play Doom Eternal. And this was also around the time that Cyberpunk was delayed. Oh, trust me, we'll talk all about Cyberpunk in the next collaboration. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be a crazy fun one. But there were movies that got delayed, and then video games especially. Like, I can only think of Cyberpunk right now, but, there has been others. I just can't think of them right now. Like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 was another big one I was waiting on. Man, I was super stoked for that game. But you get what I'm trying to say. Just big delays all around. And delays that we don't even know yet. Some companies don't come out and come and flat out say, yeah, we've been delayed because of the pandemic. because the developers all have to work out at their workstations at home, and they have to kind of collaborate and stuff. And it's not easy to collaborate on a giant project like that. It's a lot easier to be in the same office building and doing that because you don't have to have any certain timing or on, well, how do I say this? When you're at home, you got to have a schedule on when you can communicate with people and stuff, right? Everybody's doing their job. At the workplace, you can kind of get away with that, and hopefully you're not bothering your employees, but you can kind of like tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, so how's this going, type deal. And then when you're out and about in the office building, you're more compelled to work and get stuff done. At home, you really take your time for sure, because home sweet home for a reason. With that said, with me, it was, I mean, the only thing for me that I could do was just work out, do home workouts, which sucked not going to the gym, of course, because I was really, really strong for where I was at in life in terms of, gym numbers. And I was, still gaming, but, didn't have a job, couldn't work out, couldn't hang with friends and stuff. It's just living the life in a cave tenfold. We had to hibernate. And I don't remember what game I was playing first when the pandemic hit. Now, maybe it was Final Fantasy XIV. Now, we'll get that in a second. But Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons especially lasted pretty much the entire summer for me, which was really nice. But I barely play Animal Crossing nowadays. And just because, it's the same game every time you go in. There's nothing really unique about it for me. I'm still amazed by how people still find it highly appealing to them when you're literally just working like a slave in that game, like you would in your desk job. But, to each his own. It's a very capitalist game, and it's funny how people complain about capitalism and yet they play a capitalist game. Interesting, right? Anyway, so Animal Crossing wasn't my primary games, like Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing, they weren't. The biggest game that had distracted me and got me through the days, I wasn't dying or anything, but I was suffering like the rest of you. I couldn't go out, like I said, the social interaction wasn't there. I couldn't work out. I didn't have a job. I couldn't make money to pay the bills, whatever. I had to go with government funding and all that shit. And nobody wants to fucking do that. Nobody wants to get money from the government like that. Hell no. That shit fucking sucks. But the one game that I had a blast playing and gave me the best excuse to, on being distracted from all the bullshit going out, outside of the gamer cave was Final Fantasy XIV. Yeah, I didn't even think I was going to be playing that game for that long. And this is a game I played for 3 months fucking straight. I was obsessed with this game. Now, I didn't lose sleep over it or anything, but I did play it like 8 hours every day, which 8 hours a day is probably really just chump change for a lot of you hardcore, sweaty, try-hard gamers that play MMOs. And it's not sound offensive or anything, but that's pretty sweaty when you're playing more than 8 hours on a video game. That's just a fact. But with I don't know what it was. It was like it just fit the bill on what I was looking for at the time. And, I wanted to get my character to max level, and oh my god, it took fucking forever. Because I had to play, oh my god. The thing is about Final Fantasy XIV is that, you beat the main story, but then to get to the next expansion after that, you have to play like all these, so many, like 40 fucking main quests that are really long, and they, especially with the cutscenes involved that lead up to the next expansion, there's so much filler in between expansions in that game. It's a bit too much for my taste. But the reason why there's so much filler is because they're trying to entertain you while you wait for the next expansion. I don't think it's that necessary to have, because the expansion alone should be enough to appeal us, especially like endgame stuff. That's how an MMO usually goes. But that's the reason why it took me so long to get from level 45 to 70. I think 70 is the max level. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. But I was at the end of A Realm Reborn, And then I had to play through all the filler stuff, and then Heaven's Ward was so fucking awesome. I remember that very well. I loved Heaven's Ward. And then there's, oh my god, what is it called? Shit! I can't remember the second expansion. Crap. I can't remember the second one, my bad. It's been a little bit. But then there's Shadowbringers. Shadowbringers is fucking badass too. All the expansions were really great. Besides the second one, I can't fucking remember. Stormblood, that's what it was. Stormblood. Such a cool name for an expansion. Now, I was just addicted to it, man. Like I was more addicted to it than playing Animal Crossing or Doom Eternal. Like pretty much once I beat Doom Eternal, I had a blast playing it, but I kind of took a break from it. Animal Crossing, I was playing it every day, but not as much as I was. I mean, I have a playthrough on YouTube. I used to play it like 4 hours out of the day, back when it was new and it was popular. That's usually how it goes. But Final Fantasy XIV was the saving grace for Niko the Legend during the pandemic. And as I mentioned before, I'm not dying or anything at the time, but I was still suffering in some shape or form. So it was, it's like the memories, man, they'll never leave me. And it was so much fun. I have, so many times I streamed that game. So many times I would get up in the morning and just start playing. So many times I would play till late in the night and then repeat that cycle the next day. After I was done working out and eating my first meal, I just hop on that bad boy and just start playing. Because I needed a game like that. It was a mindless game to me in a lot of reasons because there's a lot of grinding involved. I know there's a lot of story involved in these MMOs, but it was still kind of mindless to me. Like I said, just that's why people liked Animal Crossing so much, because it was that fucking mindless. It required no brain power, really, to just get into it. You just do it, and you just, whatever comes to mind, you just get it done. And as the months go by, when we start opening up back in May, I was still playing it. Now, there was a period in time, maybe around when the gyms started opening up, I can actually start training people again. I think I took a break from it for like a month because I got kind of burnt out. That's usually how it goes when it comes to these kinds of games. You have to put a lot of time and effort into MMOs. They're not casual unless you're playing the Old Republic. The Old Republic is the perfect mix for me, casual and competitive if it needs to be. It can get a little sweaty, but I love the Old Republic because I don't feel like I'm ever being rushed on doing whatever. I think it's a well-paced game. Now, the break, was much needed. I don't remember what I was playing in between the break. I'm sure I was just playing other games at the time. Who knows? Whatever came to mind. I know I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 online. And I stopped playing that because the fucking internet, or not the internet, the online aspect of it was just fucking broken. Like connection issues, cheaters, you name it. It was just a buggy trash mess, and Rockstar was just not winning any favors. So down the road, we get to I find another job. Many months, back in October, I get a second job. Pandemic's still here. I'm still playing games. I'm working now. I got my book done, and then I started to work on my second draft. I had a girlfriend. Now I have an ex-girlfriend. I only dated her for a month and a half, but we're good friends now. But she moved away. So there, there was a lot of life-changing things. Like I said, with the book, relationships, jobs, working out, video games. And the thing is, video games are always there for me to enjoy and play. It's just the escapism of video games is astounding. Besides reading a good book or writing or doing anything on the artsy side, video games are the closest thing you can get to that with escapism. It was really great to do so. And Final Fantasy XIV was just the prime example, but there was other examples of games that I played the hell out of, and I don't regret it at all, And it kind of, I wouldn't say it humbled me to have this lockdown or anything, but it does drive you a little bit crazy, but it makes you realize of what life can actually be when you can't hang out with other friends. But That's on the physical sense. On the digital sense, I was still able to communicate with my friends through Discord and everything. This. If you don't know what Discord is, just think of it as like the nerdy platform for Skype for gamers and people in general, but mainly on the nerdier side for nerdy Skype. And now we're reaching at the end of the year, after I'm working both jobs, trying to meet ends meet with funds and stuff. Can't pay for a podcast, $15 a month, to have more space for my podcasts and everything, to post them. I got to keep them limited because we're running out of time here even as we speak. Holidays are here, and everyone's been struggling on trying to have a decent Christmas and stuff. And I always get kind of envious of people, especially now, because with 2 jobs, I can only do so much, 2 part-time jobs. No other job wanted to hire me. And that's just how it goes. I got to take the opportunity. I can't help how that's going. And we're just waiting for, it to go back to normal. I doubt it ever will, because people are so paranoid about shit like this, or worrisome. And, anybody's going through a hard time right now, even more than I am. If you're on your deathbed, well, that is a shame, and I hope it gets better for you, I really do. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, just the financial aspect really, really plays a toll on, things going on out there in the pandemic. But at the same time, it puts me in survival mode, and it really helps with my consumerism when it comes to buying games and stuff. If I'm addicted to buying anything as a consumer, it's video games. So I try my damnedest to not go overboard. I know my limits, and I know when I should and shouldn't buy video games and stuff, and just enjoy the ones that I have, right? Especially spending $60 on a game. So that's pretty much a rundown on gaming for me during the pandemic. It's gonna sound like everybody else's experience. We played more games than we ever have in our entire lives, probably, at least for me. Especially for certain games like Final Fantasy 14. I try to make the most of it. I try to just focus on what's important. It was my well-being, and games has helped with that for the most part. And of course, getting my book done was great. Maybe I thank the pandemic for that. I'm just kidding. That's some dark humor there. But overall, there was a lot of big milestones for myself this year. Having the book done was one of them. Getting to max level in Final Fantasy 14 was my nerdy milestone. Beating Doom Eternal, beating Animal Crossing. Look, I know it seems like there is no end to it, but this to the credits. Just bear with me on that. Played games with a lot of friends of mine and stuff. So we had a good time overall. Got another job. That's fun. And then I finished my second draft of my book. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but if I didn't, well, yeah. The shitty thing is that I can't get my stuff published for my book because I can't afford it. I want to go to a professional editor and everything. I want him to bring out the red marker and let me know how much work needs to be done to refine this story, because I want it to be good enough, not perfect, but good enough to where you can get through it and enjoy it. With back to gaming, there are certain games out there that I really want to play, but I've been addicted to Cyberpunk because that was the only way I could get it was a Christmas gift. That's about it. There's no way in shit I could have afforded that game. It's fucking $60. Yakuza Like a Dragon is another one. I'm waiting for it to go down to being $20. It was tempting to get it for $38, but I know I shouldn't because it's not in the cards, and it's not very smart of me as a person or as a rational thinker. But my gamer side wants to play it. It's that addiction. But I'm not saying my addiction got worse throughout the pandemic, but it just made me focus on the games I already had because I knew I should be saving my money on instead of spending on brand new stuff, Well, I hope I didn't miss anything too much. I know we all, like I said, I know we all have our stories when it comes to playing with the pandemic and how it's treated us poorly, or however way you want to put it. With me, gaming was always there for me to just dive into. So it didn't go away, luckily. I'm glad that being my creative self didn't go away. Resourcefulness, like with playing music. I mean, I learned how to play it. Oh, I forgot another milestone. I learned a new instrument, keyboard. Okay, I learned how to play the keyboard. Well, I'm still learning, but I'm gotten a lot better. Playing music, writing, reading, still doing fitness, finding another job, playing video games, beating video games, buying new video games. It's not as much, of course, if not any. So on and so forth. Now life's just slowly going back into place. Hopefully, it just gets better every day. Every time we take a breath, I just hope that no shit comes out of it. Out of my bodily functional holes or something like that. Sounds disgusting. Well, let me ask you this before we leave. What did you guys do during the pandemic? What was your escape to feel better? No, I'm just kidding. Not to feel better, but you know what I'm saying. To be distracted from all this nonsense. Because we all have our own opinion about the pandemic, but we all had to suffer the same in terms of being isolated and not being able to do a lot of things that we could before everything got shut down and so on and so forth. And if it's still happening to you, I pray that it gets better for you, of course. When I mean pray, I mean like pray to the Maker, not to any religious affiliation that I have. If I ever did have one. Ha! Oh, let me sell myself short the last 20 seconds to where nobody cares about me. Well, folks, I got to get out of here. I've been your host, NikoTheLegend, also known as the one-man teenager, and I try my best to talk about my experience with the pandemic. It's really hard to go so far into detail without time being short. But I hope you could understand where I'm coming from, and I'm not gonna say we're in this together, blah blah blah. No, you do your own thing, to each his own. Everybody's dealing with it in their own way. I just hope that none of us suffer greatly from it. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Well, guys, thank you so much. NikoTheLegend saying fare thee well, and I hope New Year's is good for you.